Whoa!
Yo!
Quarter Twins, the only podcast where two quarters make $1.
Yes, sir.
I am one of your hosts. My name is Jordan. My other host is here also.
My name is Joshua. We are
right.
equal.
We are 100% equal in every single way.
Mhm.
If you don't know us, those are our names. I don't know why you'd be listening to this if you don't know us, but if you don't
Hey,
know
man,
us, welcome.
If you don't know us, welcome.
Welcome to the show.
There's no disparagement.
Absolutely
here.
not. I'm just saying.
We love everyone who listens to the podcast.
Welcome. We talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Mhm.
Movies, comics, TV shows. We don't really talk about comics that much. Comic book movies, superheroes, Star Wars,
Nerd culture.
a myriad of topics.
Normal movies, even.
Yeah, even some
On
normal
occasion.
movies on occasion. I did want to just like catch everybody up on the past couple episodes. What have we been doing? Because the past 2 episodes have done really poorly, and I just
Yes.
want to be like, hey, those are still out there. Because you might not. Because one of the reasons is I didn't promote it, the last one that
Mhm.
came out. So that's one of the
Mhm.
reasons. 2 weeks ago, or maybe it's 3 weeks ago now, we released an episode that was called like Game Night at the Quarter Twins house or something. We were like, we're playing
Yeah.
games. And my wife Sam was like, I didn't think I was going to listen to it because I thought it was just going to be you guys like playing video games or something. So I think that might have been a little bit confusing. So I just wanted to say, all that episode is, I changed the name on our Spotify to Trivia Night
You
at
should
the
change it on
Quarter
the YouTube
Twins
too,
house.
and
I
maybe
should
can do
also. Just to make it a little bit more clear, because what we did in that episode is we just played fun, like trivia type games that you, the listener and watcher, can play along with us in the
Mm.
moment. It's fun together. And I edited some fun sound effects and music in there. So that's a really fun episode. We want to do more episodes like that in the future because it was really fun just to like have fun together.
It was
Because
great. It was a
the
good
rest
time.
of the show is never fun.
Mhm.
Last week, the episode that I forgot to promote in the moment, we had Joshua's best friend Noah on the show. Shout out Noah. He listens to every
Shut up,
episode.
Noah. He really is a
Um,
fan.
There's something that we now are going to mention in every episode at a different point in time just to piss off Noah.
Oh, yeah.
Joshua knows what that is.
I forgot about that.
I'm sure we'll figure out a way to work it into the episode later. But anyway, yeah, last week Noah was on and we talked about Arcane, which is a show on Netflix, and we talked about animation, why we love animation. And that episode was really fun talking about animation. And that was our segue into this week's episode where we're going to be talking
Whoa.
about some animation, some anime specifically.
Uh-huh.
We were planning on just talking about one anime movie, but we ended up. There's a whole other thing I need to talk about too. I'll let you. Well, okay. So we were in the same space
No way.
for a period of time this past week.
Yes.
A few days. We were in the same space together.
I was in that space.
This room, and we didn't record anything
Nope.
while we were here. So we did watch an anime together. So now we have 2 anime movies to talk about later.
Jordan is officially a weeb.
That's right.
He has ascended.
Yes. I've enjoyed what I've watched so far. So we'll get into that later. I have a whole news segment to get through. But first, here's the ad. It's a little Jeff Goldblum impression.
Here's the ad.
The dinosaurs are alive. Smart.
Life will find a way.
Away.
Does anyone have a lozenge? Wow.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
I've been talking this whole time already, and this next segment is also
no
my
different.
segment. But this
It's
is going to be a
Jordan's
conversation.
Disney 23 Expo announcements and trailers Newsweek segment.
Woo! Yeah, so I guess it's 2 weeks ago now. The D23 Expo happened in California or wherever it happens. D23 is basically like a Comic-Con type thing where Disney's like, here's all the things we're making, okay? So
Drive up those
Disney,
stock prices.
yeah, Disney owns pretty much everything, so we're talking like they're announcing obviously Disney movies, Pixar movies, Star Wars, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Indiana Jones, all this stuff that's going on Disney Plus, stuff that's going on in theaters, all this
National
stuff.
Treasure.
National Treasure remake. No, it's a sequel series.
It's a sequel series, not
Riley
related
Poole's
to the
in
original
it,
movies.
but Nicolas Cage
he?
is not. Yeah, he's in the trailer.
Maybe I'll watch.
I think
Riley
Nick
Poole's
Cage
amazing.
will show up. I hope
You
he
think
does,
so?
because that
He
would
wasn't
be,
in the trailers.
what a missed opportunity if they don't get Nick Cage back.
Yeah,
He'll do
seriously, Nick
literally
Cage.
anything. There's
Exactly.
no way he turned
exactly.
it down. Yeah, there's a lot of news that came out of D23, and some of it is very interesting, and some of it is very hilariously uninteresting. So I'm just gonna rattle some things off here.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick. Some of the highlights. So some of the Disney movies that they announced. Okay. Well, I'll start with Pixar. I'm a fan of what Pixar's got going on.
Okay.
So,
tell me.
I lost the webpage that I was looking at.
Oh
But,
my gosh.
they released a few things here. The Elemental, which is a rom-com where the girl's made of fire and the guy's made of water, and it's like, can they date? Win or Lose, which I don't remember what that is because I lost the page. Elio, which is I believe, a story about a Mexican boy who goes to space and saves the universe or something, which is cool. They
Sounds
released
dope.
a sequel to Inside Out, which is okay, I guess. I didn't really need that, but I'm here for that. And Disney announced some
Inside Out
stuff that
2,
is quite interesting. So Disney released a new trailer for a movie called Strange World, which is coming out really soon, actually.
Yes.
Strange World looks really, really good. And they're not really promoting it that much. And I'm not, and I think one of the reasons is because it's a new idea and it's not an existing IP that they're making a remake or a sequel of. It's it might be. They might have some.
It's probably
roots of
some old
kind,
thing.
old thing. Animated
But
movie that looks really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that
Yeah, talk about it.
just because I'm not going to talk a lot during this segment as much. So I wanted to talk about Strange
Yes.
World. When I went to Thor, I think,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the trailer for Strange World there. And it was like a travel brochure ad for the Strange World.
Yeah.
And like visiting it kind of a vibe. And just as a precursor to what we're going to talk about later, it felt very anime-esque in terms of the unique world, the strange world, one might say. It just felt like a very unique setting with a lot of cool creatures and geological features and astrological features, and it felt inviting. It was cool. Everything is like this orange, purplish, pinkish vibe. It kind of reminded me of Atlantis, where they had this crew of people going to this new space, and it's dangerous, but it's also really cool. So I'm kind of hoping that it's kind of Atlantis, Treasure Planet vibes.
Yeah.
Treasure
Those are the
Planet,
vibes
as
I
you
got as
may
well.
know, is my favorite Disney movie of all
Oh,
time.
really? I didn't even know
yes.
that. There you
Treasure
go.
Planet. Shout out.
I haven't seen that in years. So I need to watch that again.
That's a good, fantastic movie.
So yeah, Strange World looks really good. They're making a Snow White, a live-action Snow White with Rachel Zegler as the lead role, and I believe Gal Gadot as the witch, Maleficent or whatever her name is. Which I like Rachel Zegler a lot, so I'm optimistic about that.
Yeah, she's Miona as in our.
Yeah, she's gonna be in Star Wars
Star
Wyvern
Wars
pretty
Wyvern.
soon. And a trailer that spurred much controversy for The Little Mermaid came out, that they released. If you think that it's wrong or bad or to have a black actor play Little Mermaid, then that's dumb of you. You should chill out a little bit about that.
And if you're angry about that, don't watch our podcast, please.
Yeah, racism isn't good. I don't even want to say that I don't think it looks very good because it has so much controversy around it already. I don't think the trailer looks very good. None of that has to do with her being black or her performance at all. I think it just looks really bland and gross. Not very artistic in that way, which a lot of the Disney remakes kind of look that way and bad.
Yeah, I
in my opinion,
I think there's a general point we're making here for Little Mermaid, Snow White, the old Lion King, or like the new live action-esque Lion King, probably this new one, Mufasa Lion King. They're just kind of rehashing old ideas.
Yep.
And I'm sad about it because that sucks. They should be like, Disney is like the king of all these 2D animated films, coming out with these great, fantastic stories with all these beautiful IPs. And nowadays, they're just money grubbers.
Absolutely.
Rehashing every original idea and making it live action. As if live action is superior to what got them famous originally. It's a bit of a bummer.
You were just like, it makes me sad.
Oh,
it makes me sad too. And one of the biggest offenders from this new list is a movie they announced called Mufasa, subtitle The Lion King. So they're making a Lion King prequel for the Lion King about Mufasa. Supposedly in live action. I don't know if that was confirmed or whatever. I assume it's going to be live action quotes.
Yeah.
CGI animated, like the last Lion King they made.
Right.
Which I don't like that movie at all because that is a prime example of like we have this cool technology and animation is old and it's out of date and we have to redo it with our new technology. But what happens is you lose the artistry and the animation of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The characters don't have any emotion because they're animals and real animals can't show that emotion in quote real life.
Right.
And I think it's going to be terrible, like The Lion King was. And one of the funniest things they announced is a movie called Wish. And get this, Wish is going to be the origin story of the star that Disney characters wish upon. Because you know the Disney motto that's like, when you wish upon a star from Pinocchio or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling the story of where that star came from. Doesn't that sound interesting? I don't think so.
I don't know. That could be good.
I think it sounds so dumb. Like, why?
It's unique.
One of the main things is that they just like they constantly taking things that already exist and like things that they already own or IP or remakes or sequels to things, and those are just a few things that I mentioned. They've announced a lot of other things for like Disney Plus and stuff. But like you talked about, lots of just rehashing old ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe some of this stuff will be good. But I thought some of the Marvel and Star Wars stuff was pretty good. I'm gonna
a little bit better.
Share my screen. Cut this out. Blah blah blah. So yeah, Marvel announced a bunch of stuff. A lot of it was already announced, but they gave us trailers for some things. Secret Invasion got a trailer. Did you see that, Joshua?
I did see that trailer.
It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good.
It does look cool.
I was not super optimistic because I don't super love Nick Fury as a character.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's not supposed to be dead in this one.
Yeah, I did tell Joshua that it's usually when Nick Fury is a supporting character that I don't. Well, he hasn't really been a main character. but I don't like him when he's a supporting character in a movie that he has no business being in, like Spider-Man Far From Home. Like, get out of that movie. Why is he in it? I hate it. It's a terrible movie.
It's not even him.
Secret Invasion looks pretty cool. It kind of has this spy espionage thriller vibe to it, and it looks like a few of these things. One of my main complaints with Marvel Cinematic Universe at its current stage is a lack of seriousness, and that can sound a little bit silly, but like everything
Eternals was pretty serious.
is pretty serious. Atomic bombs and stuff. Everything's just kind of for kicks and giggles, and there aren't very many consequences to what happened in those movies anymore after Endgame. And I think one of the things, the trailer for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, there's no laughs in that trailer, which I really appreciated. That doesn't mean there won't be any jokes, or Marvel always has light humor in their movies, but I appreciate that movie, for example, in Secret Invasion, look to be taking things a little bit more serious. And the Disney Plus stuff has looked or felt a little bit more, with the exception of maybe She-Hulk, a little bit more serious. Which Secret Invasion, if you don't know, is going to be a series on Disney Plus, not a movie.
Right.
Excuse me.
Excuse you.
Armor Wars got a new logo, and
Armor Wars.
Yeah, I don't really know what Armor Wars is. All I know is it's gonna be a roadie heavy thing, which I don't find his character super interesting either.
Well, he just finally had a character arc in Endgame, but it was kind of like that was it.
Yeah.
Right. What
and he was just kind
really
of like
do with this character?
He's kind of a joke machine in that movie too, which I didn't appreciate. But I'm really hoping that they bring back Justin Hammer for that show,
that would
Armor
be fun.
Wars, because I think it's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like Armor Wars is like people replicating the Iron Man technology and like figuring out how to legally keep people from doing that or whatever. Fantastic Four got a new director, Matt Shakman. Which is the guy, if I'm not mistaken, who directed all the episodes of WandaVision. Pretty sure that's the case. I think that's a pretty good pick. Definitely better than they had John Watts doing it for a while, but then he left, which I'm happy about. And they had Peyton Reed maybe, who did Ant-Man, and I was like, eh. But now Matt Shankman is confirmed, which is good. Captain America 4 got a title, Captain America New World Order, which will be a what's his name? Sam Wilson, Captain America story.
Right.
And the surprising thing is they're bringing back like a side character from the Incredible Hulk to be the villain. Because you remember at the end of that movie, there's like the scientist guy who gets like Hulk blood dripped on his head, and it like starts bubbling a little bit.
Yes,
it's that guy that they're bringing back.
Okay.
So that's cool. Thunderbolts, we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about the lineup. Thunderbolts is going to be the final movie in the MCU phase 5 or 4, whichever one, probably 5. So the Thunderbolts is like kind of the MCU or the Marvel Suicide Squad type thing.
Sort of, yeah.
And kind of. Not the same, not really the same concept, but kind of. They announced the team that they're going with, and I think it's just terrible. I'm here for the movie, but so the team they announced, David Harbour, Alexei Shostakov, Red Guardian,
good,
Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp,
good,
okay, girl from Seinfeld is kind of the leader of the team.
Good.
Kind of the Nick Fury of the team. Bucky Barnes, weird. I don't know why he's in this.
Meh.
John Walker, which I think is... They set that up. I'm good with that. And Florence Pugh as Yelena. So the only thing that I don't like about this is it's like you have super soldiers and you have spies. And you have one girl who can like phase through buildings and stuff. But it's like you're putting together a team. Wouldn't it be cool to like have the Abomination, or like bring back some villains with like interesting characteristics instead of having like 3 super soldiers, a couple Black Widow type people, and people who basically do the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm just kind of like, okay.
It's kind of
But-
weird. I've seen, or like the Punisher isn't even in it.
Yeah.
They could have brought him in.
brought
Not
him.
that he's very unique on that spectrum either. But yeah, it's just a bunch of the same
Guy with guns.
people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer. There's so many more villains that they could have thrown in there
Sure.
that didn't die.
Like a Justin Hammer, or even who's the guy from, oh no, a lot of them die, so that's part of it. But yeah, I don't know.
All the
Maybe
ones
it'll
that
be
live.
good because they're a team, so they have to be going up against somebody. So it might be kind of like a misdirect, where it's like, this is the team we're going in with, but some of them like die in the first 15 minutes and they get new people. I don't know.
That would be pretty crazy. If they're just
not
like,
unlike the Suicide Squad,
yes.
directed by James Gunn. Loki season 2 got announced officially, which is cool. I'm here for that. I like Loki a lot. Ironheart is coming out at some point. Anthony Ramos joined the cast as Parker Robbins. I don't know who that is. The character,
The Hood.
aka the Hood. I don't really know who that is, but I like him as an actor.
Sounds
And the
cool.
main thing I wanted to talk about is Werewolf by Night. I don't really know what this is. Did you watch the trailer, Joshua?
I haven't seen it.
You'll have to watch the trailer because it is freaking wild. It is like, how do I describe the trailer? It's in black and white, and it's kind of like a haunted house type vibe where it has like all of these kind of ghosts and ghouls and monsters, and there's like some like decapitation, and it's like this horror thing that they're making. And it's the title card. It's like, instead of just saying Marvel Studios, it says a Marvel Studios special presentation. And it's like a super unique looking thing. And I was like, wow, are they actually going to start doing unique things? Which I hope that they do, just like if they have this new banner that they release things under, Marvel Studios special presentation, where they make like really off the wall stuff from the comics that they don't necessarily want to put in the MCU proper, but they want to still make. And it's cool. Michael Giacchino, this is his first like directing thing that he's doing. So that's pretty cool. I
We
like
love
him
that
a lot.
for Mike.
So, is this interesting? I'm going to talk about Star Wars too.
Let's go.
Just really quick. Andor got a new trailer, but Andor is out already.
Yes, I'm sorry. I haven't watched it yet.
I'll keep
don't
my
speak.
thoughts to a minimum because I have seen it.
All 3 episodes?
Yeah.
You beast.
Yeah, pretty amazing. All I'll say is, watch Andor, because this is the type of show that we need to support and celebrate, so that Disney doesn't think that we want Disney to think that we want this type of thing. That's what I'm going to say. We don't want them to think this bombed and that they never do anything like it again. Okay? So go
Okay.
watch it, please. We'll give more thoughts next week. Willow got a trailer. So Willow, they made a movie called Willow like a while ago. Like many years ago. I haven't seen it. I don't really know what it is. It's getting a new series on Disney Plus. It looks pretty good. Fantasy type thing.
Warwick Davis.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
He's Willow. Star Wars: The Bad Batch season 2 is coming out January.
Yay.
I'm alright hit, but they're releasing a thing called Star Wars: Tales of the Jedi,
Yeah.
which is a Clone Wars style animated TV show, which looks fantastic. Do you have any thoughts on that, Joshua?
I did actually end up watching the trailer for this one, although I watched it muted. So I didn't I watched it on Twitter or something. It wasn't with sound, but I can extrapolate from the imagery that it is about Count Dooku as a Jedi
Yes.
before he turned to the dark side. Spoiler alert, I guess. Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm here for it. I hope that they bring that super old guy to voice this young version of Count Dooku, just
Yeah.
because I think that would be funny. It looks really good. Qui-Gon Jinn might be a Padawan in this show. I don't remember.
Yes, he is in the
it?
trailer.
Sweet. So
Mhm.
let's hope and pray for um the voice of that. Liam Neeson
Yeah.
is his name.
Yes, him.
And Ahsoka Tano will be a baby,
Yeah.
probably.
They're
Is that a
doing
separate thing?
the Tales of the Jedi. It's going to be 6 episodes. There are going to be 3 episodes dedicated to young Ahsoka Tano, and 3 episodes of young Count Dooku, young Mace Windu, young Qui-Gon, young Yoda, even Yaddle. I saw in the trailer.
Yaddle.
What the heck?
Let's go.
That sounds awesome. The live-action Ahsoka series is coming in 2023.
Oh yes, with Rosario Dawson.
A Jude Law-led show called Star
Jude
Wars
Law?
Skeleton Crew.
My mom
is
loves
coming
Jude
out.
Law.
She does. They showed a picture. He looks cool in it. I think it's, let's see, what does it says? Currently in production, Skeleton Crew will center around a group of children lost in space and be set in the New Republic time frame. John Watts is on board to direct, as long as with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and all those guys. So
Yay.
that sounds cool. Mandalorian season 3 got a trailer that looks really, really good. I'm excited for that. They showed some footage for Indiana Jones 5. Harrison Ford was there on stage being all happy and stuff.
No way.
I'm hyped for Indiana Jones
Phoebe
5
Waller-Bridge.
because it's directed by James Mangold, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is supporting actress.
I love
It's
Phoebe
going to be
Waller-Bridge.
really good. James Mangold directed
Watch
Logan,
Fleabag, people.
and I'm pumped for it. There's this thing that is called Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures.
Wow, this looks like the best thing so far.
So that's cool. I guess that's the last thing on the list. That looks fun. I don't know about that, but all right. And there's like,
because
there's
Star
a
Wars
ton
is
of
for
stuff.
children.
It's just for kids. There's a ton of
Mhm.
stuff they announced for Disney Plus that I'm not going to talk about. National Treasure is one of them. Percy Jackson's getting a series. That looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, isn't there?
Too.
I don't know about that. Why are they doing that?
I don't know.
They
I
already
don't
make the
know
movies?
anything about Percy Jackson, but anyway, I hope
Speaking of
anybody
Star Wars,
likes listening to this.
you need to quit it with that because you're entertaining me, and the vibes are here, and
Yes.
that's good. People are gonna listen.
I just get self-conscious about. I talked for a long time.
I know, and I do the
about
same thing
things.
when I talk about things for a long time. So I'm gonna take the reins here and talk about something
Okay, good.
real quick. We were just talking about
Please.
Star Wars and how great it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I thought this is the perfect time to bring up one of the best Star Wars films in the series, The Last Jedi. Star Wars The Last
Yes.
Jedi is really good. It's both of our number
masterpiece.
3
It
in the
is
top
now,
3
yeah.
spot now. It's just a really good movie. I don't really see any major flaws. It's written by Rian Johnson. He's a great writer. It
Yeah.
subverts your expectations.
It does.
It makes you believe one thing and then is actually another thing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt complains about people parking on the beach. It's just a good time.
That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, really?
Yeah, it is.
I had no idea.
He's
That's
in
incredible.
the costume and everything too.
Wow.
Rey and Kylo Ren force Skype. It's one of the
Yep.
coolest things ever put to film in Star
Mhm.
Wars. I think it's done masterfully. It's shot well. It's they go to Skellig Michael, which is one of the coolest places ever. Skellig Michael is an island off the coast of Scotland.
Oh, yes.
Where they shot the scenes of Octo, the island
mhm.
of the first Jedi temples. My parents, interesting factoid, have seen Skellig Michael when they were in Ireland. They were able to catch a glimpse of it through the misty mires of Scottish Highland Ocean. They were able to see it off in the distance. It is
That's
a
awesome.
bird sanctuary
Yeah.
for a particular species of porgs. No,
Yeah.
but there are birds there, and they were only allowed to film for like 3 hours a day, and it was only sunny for like 20 minutes, so they had to really get it down.
Man. They did a great job.
and they did it, and
It's a great movie.
it came out great. It's a fantastic film. Probably give
Yeah.
it like an 8
Nice little
out of
indie
10.
film.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have heard of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't get much conversation.
You should really be pushing it more.
in the zeitgeist,
Whoa.
So,
Nothing quite like a zeitgeist.
yeah, I recommend it for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we've lined up all of D23. We complained a little bit about Disney rehashing new ideas in this live action, high quality live action-esque CGI stuff. And we just don't really like it because it makes us feel like our childhoods are being invalidated by this new wave that they're saying these movies that we made back then were just bad because animation is old and takes too long and it's too hard. So let's do it on the computer now. And it's all fine and good to make movies on the computer. But you know, movies like Tarzan, specifically, we talked about Tarzan and how hard it is to make that movie because they drew it and then they CGI'd over it and then they drew it again to create all these vine swinging scenes. And it comes out beautifully. And all that hard work is recognized by people who watch the films. And the movies are tremendous and staples of multiple generations of childhood people, children. And so to see them remake these movies in this live action format makes me feel like they are ashamed of what they used to create.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay for the new young people to like these live action versions of these movies. Obviously there are new aspects of these movies. They're increasing diversity and representation, which is obviously great. And, kids want to see new movies. These are new movies, air quotes. And, it gives young kids a chance to go to the theater and see the movies that we saw. So I understand the perspective of new generations getting to see all of these great movies anew. However, personally, I prefer the 2D animated style. Now, this preference has come from recent fixation on a medium called anime. Now, in Japan, anime means cartoon. So it's pretty easy to extrapolate what anime is. It's just cartoons from Japan. So
makes sense.
They have their whole realm of TV and movies that they make, and wouldn't you know it, just like America, there is a portion of TV and movies that's good, and you can watch it. And that seems to be a foreign concept for a lot of people, and there's this large stigma around anime that it's for children, that it's stupid, that it makes you weird for watching it. And, I'm going to admit I was part of the problem when I was younger. I watched Pokemon, but I didn't really understand that it was anime, so that once I was in middle school and high school, I was like, anime's weird. Like, why would I watch that? It's in Japanese, blah, blah, blah. I have transcended space-time and completely flipped my vision on this concept. And it's the simple fact I brought up earlier. Imagine all of the TV and movies and animation that comes out of America, and the percentage of that stuff that's good or bad, and then just now it's from Japan. You're done. And
you're not even required to listen to it or watch it in Japanese if that is
true.
If that is something that holds you back from watching it, as it did for me probably and many people. Not saying that the English dubs are always translated perfectly or whatever in the style of the artist intended. I don't know. but
Mhm.
it's an option.
Well, yeah, as far as English dubs have grown, excuse me, has quadrillion in
Oh,
size since the pandemic due to everybody watching Avatar: The Last Airbender when
mm-hmm.
the pandemic started. That was just a thing. Randomly, the collective consciousness of America just
Yeah.
watched Avatar: The Last Airbender when the pandemic started, and it led to a ton of people watching anime. Now, I'm gonna preface that by saying Avatar: The Last Airbender is not an anime. It was made in America, which makes it a cartoon from Nickelodeon. People get really mad about that. I don't really care. It's a show. Who
It's
cares?
just the
But to
facts.
be specific,
Yes.
it is technically just a cartoon.
Yeah.
Um, but it opened the door for a lot of people to watch anime. It opened the door for me to really get into it, and I've been obsessed
Mm-hmm.
ever since. It dominates a large portion of my consciousness, and I really, really like it. So I've been trying to spread the word, trying to help people understand that it's not weird. It's not for kids only. There's there's a whole industry built around getting anime to America now.
Yeah.
So that people here can enjoy it too. We're like one of the bigger markets now for anime.
Sure.
Services like Crunchyroll and Funimation and High Dive are these big streaming platforms. There are manga books. There are light novels. There's a whole industry of amazing content being generated in Japan, and I think it deserves to be witnessed by everyone because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is
Mm-hmm.
really good. And we're going to talk about two movies that I think are very good and that are anime, and we're just going to be hype about them and recommend them to you guys.
That's
So,
right.
first things first, we have a movie called Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Yes.
Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is a Studio Ghibli or Ghibli movie. I don't actually know what the specific pronunciation is. Studio Ghibli, I'm going to say Ghibli,
Mm-hmm.
is basically the Disney of Japan. Obviously, Disney exists in Japan, but
Sure.
it's like the big one that
Yeah.
a lot of people know or have heard of Spirited Away, of Princess Mononoke, Totoro,
Mm-hmm.
um, Porco Rocco, or whatever that guy's name is. There's a movie where a guy has the face of a pig and he flies a plane during World War II.
Oh
It's
yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Kiki's Delivery Service. I don't know. There's a ton of movies.
Yeah.
Howl's Moving Castle is a big one. People like. They've made a ton of movies. What's his name? Hayao Miyazaki and Joe Hisaishi, who make the music. It's phenomenal. They do some amazing work, and their movies are old, like 90s, early 2000s, maybe even like late 80s.
Yeah.
They've been
This
making movies
one
for a long
was
time.
83, I believe.
Yeah. They've been making movies for a long time, and the animation holds up, I think,
Oh yeah.
tremendously
Mm-hmm.
well.
It's definitely, you can tell that
Um,
it is older, but it's not like it's
right.
bad by any means. Yeah.
And so Nausicaa is, yeah, as you said, 83. It's on
Yeah, I believe
HBO
so.
Max, which is where most of the Studio Ghibli movies are.
Mm-hmm.
Probably all of them. You can find them over there. And it's
Yeah.
about a girl. Oh, well, okay. The world is screwed.
Yeah.
The world has been tarnished by war and nuclear bombs
Yes.
and global warming, aka climate change, is the effective name for that.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother Nature was like, "Screw you guys! I'm gonna take over and fix this." And so
Yes.
there's this thing called the toxic jungle that sprouts up. Well, first things first, a group of giant titan-like warriors ascend on Earth
Mm-hmm.
and burn everything to the ground. basically.
We don't
Almost
really see that. That's what happened
Yeah.
before this movie. Yeah.
And they
The set.
basically almost wipe out humanity in its entirety. And then this toxic jungle sprouts up, and these big beetle-esque bugs called Ohm start wandering through and infecting the entire world with this toxic jungle. And there is a valley with a bunch of wind blowing through it, aka the Valley of the Wind.
Valley of the Wind.
And the wind keeps the toxic jungle at bay. And so it's like this last bastion of safety for this small village that's hiding in this valley. And Nausicaa is the princess of this valley. And it's about her trying to save the world
Mm-hmm.
from this toxic jungle, from humanity. Who
Yep.
can say? You'll
This
have
other
to
group
watch
of
the
people-
movie.
Yeah, this other group of people shows up and they're like, listen, we're not here to hurt you. We're just here to talk.
Just here to talk.
When they bring out their tanks and they're like, we're just here to talk, guys.
They killed the king.
Chill out.
We're
yeah,
just here to
we killed your
talk.
king. We're just here to talk. It's fine. It's worth noting that Patrick Stewart is in it.
Shia LaBeouf is in it. And Edward James Olmos is in it for the 45 to 55 age range people who know who that is.
I have no idea.
Exactly. He is in season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He has a mustache.
There you go.
He plays one of the older people with the mustache in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got a very distinct voice. You can tell who he is right away. Yeah, we watched it in English, which I think the Studio Ghibli movies have like a higher quality dub than most anime today. I think, you know, from my perspective, a lot of anime today kind of phone it in on the English dub, no offense. But Studio Ghibli, you know, not only are they doing a great job, but they also have these like marketable actors coming in. Like Patrick Stewart has been famous for 100 years, so it's pretty cool that he was able
and he
to
did
be
this
in
the
movie.
80s too, which
Yeah.
is wild.
Before X-Men, you know.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. Shia LaBeouf is a child in this. I mean, you can hear, you can tell that it's him.
Yeah.
But he's like, I mean, this is like before even Stevens or whatever that show movie was.
Yeah.
Before Holes. He's a
before
kid.
Holes, yeah, before Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
The Kingdom of the
before
Crystal
Transformers.
Skull.
Yeah.
Wow. Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, so it's just really fun. I highly
I would compare
recommend.
it to like a Dune type of thing if you're like
Oh.
looking for something to compare it to in terms of like the world. It's kind of this like it's not
Sounds
all
wild.
desert, but it has kind of desert landscape where they're like these big creatures like sandworms in Dune and these
Okay.
like bug creatures. Science fiction-y type thing,
Mhm.
kind of similar. If you need a reference point. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. I talked to Joshua about this a little bit too. Well, I talked to you, Joshua. I'm having a conversation with Joshua right
Yeah.
now. And
Talk to me.
I think as somebody who hasn't watched a lot of anime, I think the two movies we watched are just they're paced differently than American
Right.
movies are paced, and so I would be like, okay, this story's about to wrap up, and there'll be like an hour and a half left.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's where I felt the story was going. So that was a little bit hard to get used to. It was a little bit hard to keep track of all the people and characters that were in Nausicaa, but
Mm-hmm.
what was going on. But I really enjoyed it. I thought the whole climate change thing
Ahead of
message
its
was
time.
really good. Ahead of its time, yeah. Yeah, and being an older anime too, like it has a really nostalgic vibe of like 2D
Absolutely.
animation of the old days, you know.
That whole aesthetic
I like
from
it.
the 80s and 90s anime is so
Yeah.
nostalgic. because like even for us, we were born in what 1999, 2000.
2000. Mm-hmm.
And like you have an anime that you've seen all of pretty much.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Dragon Ball
Dragon
Z.
Ball Z,
Yes.
which is hype for you. I've seen a lot. Well, all of Pokemon Indigo League, and then most of Johto. Whatever that season is called, I don't remember. And that whole aesthetic from back then, animation just looked good,
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we have another movie on the list that is new, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
That arguably it looks so good, dude.
It is beautiful. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So anything else you want to say about Nausicaa before we move over?
I don't think so. I think that's just about says it. I recommend it highly as if this is going to be your first. And actually, I might watch the next one first if you're gonna watch one.
Yeah.
Probably watch the next one because I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was gonna say when you were talking about pacing,
mm-hmm.
it wasn't really something I felt myself in a lot of movies. And I was like, I don't really know what you're talking about when you were mentioning that. But then I thought back to when I watched Princess Mononoke, and that movie I watched over the course of multiple sessions because I got tired halfway through.
Sure.
And I like couldn't continue to watch it because I had lost my my focus.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm on Twitter in the middle of a movie,
sure,
that's bad.
Yeah.
So cuz I'm very focused on movies when I watch them. So if I can't focus on a movie when I'm watching it, that's bad. I still think Princess Mononoke is a fantastic film. It's very good, but yeah, I did notice that I had trouble, like I thought, oh wow, I should be close to the climax of this movie.
Yeah.
And then I click the scrubber and it's like hour and a half left. I'm like,
Yep.
oh.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I think that's just like when we say, oh, this movie was boring. I think that's almost always a pacing issue. It's not always something you can pinpoint of just like, this isn't gripping me at the moment or like keeping my attention. I want to look at my phone right now. That's usually because, and what do we mean by pacing? Like the way
what
that,
do we mean?
What do you mean? I don't even know what, like, if there's a definition. Oh, the way that something's paced, like the amount of time between vital information you're given in a movie.
Okay. Pacing.
Yeah, pacing. Pacing is the thing that's important in films. It's hard to put your finger on, but it's important. So if you're bored, it's probably pacing. All right, Your Name is a second movie we watched. While we were together in the same room, we watched it over a couple days because we were busy. But
yes.
Also, my sister Kelsey was in on watching it too.
Heck
so
yeah, she
was her first anime as well. I'll do my best to explain what this movie's about.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Your Name is about two individuals, a guy named Taki.
Yes, okay.
And a girl named
this is pretty integral to the plot of the story.
Yes, it's their name. So what's your name?
Can
you
tell me your name?
Tell me your name.
Starts with an M?
It does start with an M. What is it? You could tell me if I'm not remembering.
Mitsuha,
yes. Taki and Mitsuha. Taki lives in Tokyo and Mitsuha lives in a village called something.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. It's a really beautiful village in the beautiful landscape of Japan.
It's up north.
Up north.
Where Japan is more rural. And it's kind of like a stereotype almost that people like probably Hokkaido area, I would say, is like life outside of Tokyo is boring
Mm.
and nothing happens and everyone is old and they can't get out of town, and if you don't go to college in Tokyo or high school in Tokyo, your life sucks. It's kind of the vibe. Obviously, there are other large cities in Japan, Kyoto and other ones. I can't even think.
The other ones, yeah.
But the general consensus is Tokyo is a vibe, and everywhere else in Japan is not.
Yeah.
So Mitsuha lives. Sorry, I took over. You go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, she lives in this little village up north in Japan. Taki lives in Tokyo. So at the beginning of the movie, these two individuals are both having dreams in which they are dreaming that they are. Taki is having it. Is this? I'm gonna spoil the movie.
It's fine. You're
I'm
good.
gonna spoil it. Taki is having dreams that he is a girl named Mitsuha who lives in this village, and so in his dreams he basically takes over her life, and he thinks it's just a dream. And in Mitsuha's dreams, she basically takes over Taki's life, and she thinks it's just a dream because she wants to be a Tokyo boy, and so she
Right.
thinks she's just living out
She
her
literally
fantasy,
does
her dreams.
wish that.
Yeah. Come to find out, they eventually figure out that when they fall asleep, they are actually trading places. And so Mitsuha becomes like her essence or spirit or whatever is in Taki, and Taki is in Mitsuha. And so they start like kind of living double lives that way. They're kind of trying to figure out what's making it happen, but they're also just kind of having fun living these two separate lives. And then from there, it's like, what even happens? Taki is like, I'm going to go visit Mitsuha because I've learned so much about her. I've literally become her. Like, what if we hang out? Because I'm like, I might be like falling in love with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go say hi. And then he gets to this village and it's freaking destroyed. Okay?
Gone.
It's gone. It doesn't even exist because it was destroyed by a meteor 3 years ago. What?
Whoa.
So he finds out that Mitsuha was living in this village 3 years ago, and the whole time she's hearing news broadcasts about, oh, this meteor's coming by tomorrow night. It's going to be fun. Everybody go outside. And then it turns out the meteor splits, and it hits their town, and it explodes, and everybody dies. So what happens is they come up with a plan to save Mitsuha, and Mitsuha tries to save the entire town from this meteor 3 years ago because their connection is transcending time and space, so they're able to essentially go back in time and save Mitsuha and her village from this thing. And their love story blossoms.
It's beautiful.
And speaking of The Last Jedi, there's a very reminiscent scene where they're having this kind of spiritual, where they're standing in the same spot, separated by 3 years of time, and then when when it's essentially golden hour, magic hour as they call it, they see each other for a period of time before, like, when the sun's at golden hour until it sets is when they can perceive each other in the same time and space, which is much like
between worlds.
Kylo Ren and Rey in The Last Jedi, which is a great movie.
Wow, what a great movie.
And so they're like, okay, we're here. I don't know if I'm going to remember your name, so I'm going to write it on your hand. And then Taki writes, I love you, and Mitsuha doesn't get to write her name, and then they find each other when they're adults. Oh my goodness. It was an emotional roller coaster.
It really was.
Yeah, you should
if
definitely
you watch it alone, you'll probably cry.
Yeah, for sure.
So just be aware of that.
And it's absolutely stunning to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the animation is incredible. So
yes, Makoto Shinkai is the director. He has a whole, I can't remember the name of his studio, but he has a whole fleet of movies. Garden of Words, Weathering with You, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, Your Name. Those are all movies made by him and his team, and they are phenomenally animated. He has another movie coming up soon called Land of Leodel, I think. I
Hmm.
think that's his studio. It looks pretty cool. Um, it's just it's a great starter anime movie, I would
Yeah.
say. And I think movies is a good way to get into anime if you wanted to start with that. Because TV takes a lot of time and a lot of shows are really long and um there's more commitment than in a movie. So
Yeah.
I think people can get behind a movie a lot quicker.
Yeah. I
Um
definitely recommend it. As somebody who this is only the second like movie of anime that I've watched, I definitely
mhm.
recommend it in that way. Because I have seen all
Yes.
of Dragon Ball Z, but I'm not gonna watch that whole show again ever. So yeah,
So,
definitely watch those movies because we love
yeah.
anime and we love animation, and we
Heck yeah.
think 2D animation. I told you, Joshua, the other day. I believe that we are going to get to a place in a society where the entertainment industry is going to be like, in America is going to be like, you're wrong. 2D animation is actually the coolest, and we're going to start
Mhm.
doing that again, and it's going to be awesome.
They're going to rehash
Yeah.
all of these live action movies
Yeah.
that were never
An
2D
updated
animated
animation. Yeah.
and they're going to animate them. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're going to be so much better.
Right.
It'll be the exact opposite of what's happening now.
Like, I wish they were making Strange World, for example, in 2D, because I'm not like
Oh yeah, it's
I'm not a huge fan of the current like Disney animation style because they all look like the Frozen, Tangled type style of animation. I just don't think
mhm.
it's super interesting to look at. It can be,
Yeah.
but I think we have hunger for 2D animation again. The last thing they
Hunger.
did was that Princess and the Frog they did in 2D,
Oh, so good.
and it was great. It was great. So
That movie's fantastic.
do some more 2D
Yeah,
animation.
seriously. What the heck?
And anything else you want to say about anime? Your name, Asuka?
If you're looking for other recommendations, I have
He
a
has them all.
humongous.
Yeah.
I have watched 80 shows since March of 2020.
Yeah.
So
We
I
need
have,
to
you know,
you
I
need to
can
just
cover every
have
genre.
our cousin Corey on the show and
Yeah,
just
we need
like
to get Corey up in
just
here.
dump about anime stuff because you
That
guys
sounds
have a
like a
lot to
good
talk
time.
about. So
He sounds very, very busy though.
yeah,
So
that's probably true.
we gotta find some time for him to come
So any recommendations from you, Joshua? What are you doing these days?
on. In general or for anime?
In general, or anime.
Well,
You watched The Last Jedi recently?
I haven't. I should. That's a freaking perfect film, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was on a plane 4 times in the last couple days. And so I watched some movies. I watched 3 movies on the plane. I watched The Harder They Fall.
Oh.
I watched Operation Mincemeat, and I watched a third movie, Munich, I think, The Edge of War. And The Harder They Fall is on Netflix. Well, they're all on Netflix, but The Harder They Fall is a Netflix made movie. It's a Western about like some black cowboys that were like real people, but like exaggerated versions of the events that did occur. And Idris Elba is a cowboy, and
I like him.
Major something. That's not his name. That's his last name. The guy who
Jonathan
plays Kang,
Majors.
Jonathan Majors. Yes, Jonathan Majors is the main character as well. Regina King is in it. I think she's in the new Warrior Queen movie, whatever that movie is called.
I want to go see that.
It does look pretty good. People are hyping that movie up.
Yeah.
I thought The Harder They Fall was okay. It's just it's a classic Western revenge story. Nothing super insanely spectacular about it, but it was pretty good. I watched Operation Mincemeat, which is a World War II movie, because I'm on this World War II movie kick. World War movie, either one, you know.
Yeah.
I like them
There were
both.
2 of them
Yeah.
so far.
Let's pray that there will never be a third.
Let's hope
um,
so. Yeah.
Not that I would ever get drafted. I'm disabled.
Same colorblindness. They don't want me.
Nice. That's pretty crazy. Colorblindness will keep you out of the draft. That's crazy.
I don't know for sure. It definitely keeps me from being a police officer or flying commercial airlines. So
Bummer.
Yeah.
Operation Mincemeat was a operation that was put on by the British government. MI5 and MI6 joined forces to trick Hitler into believing that they were going to attack Greece, when in reality they were going to attack Sicily, which is in Italy. And so they got a corpse from a recently deceased soldier and made up a fake life for this guy and filled his bag with fake letters detailing the attack on Greece that was never a thing, in the hopes that it would make its way to Hitler, and then he would believe that they were attacking Greece and move his troops out of Sicily to Greece to defend this fake event. It worked, and they attacked Sicily, and it was a tremendous success, and they moved towards Berlin, which is pretty hype for the Allied forces.
Yes.
And so it was, and there was a lot of drama between the 2 leaders of this operation, as well as a woman that they both fell in love with. And love triangle problems arise. Not to mention the moral implications of taking a soldier and not allowing him to be buried with his family, and putting his body in the ocean with all this fake stuff, and basically taking away the legacy of this person to create a fake person and use them to distract or trick people. Since this story has come out, several years later, and all of the espionage secrets are, for the large part, resolved, the gravestone in Spain, where they dropped the body, has been amended to add the actual person's name to the gravestone, which is cool. So he also gets credit, because it was like they had a whole fake gravestone, a fake burial, fake funeral for this fake person, but the body was an actual soldier.
I see.
So with an actual name, and he has now been given credit for his sacrifice.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I thought that movie was pretty good.
There you go.
And then I saw, on the way home, I watched Munich, The Edge of War, which is about another secret operation, about a British, the secretary of Neville something, the prime minister immediately preceding Winston Churchill. And it's basically about him trying to stop the treaty that allowed Germany to take over Czechoslovakia, which is called the Statenland or something like that. This is all the appeasement stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Hitler was saying a lot that Germans didn't have enough room, so they needed more living space. So we're just going to take over all these countries so that we can have more space to live.
Yeah.
That was his thing that he said. And eventually, once we have enough room, we'll stop. Well, Hitler got a little too big for his britches and was like, psych, I'm going to take over the world.
Yeah.
And kill a bunch of people while I do it. So some people knew that was where he was going within the German government, and they wanted to stop him. And some people in England didn't believe his idea that he was going to stop. So there's a couple people that knew each other in college that went their separate ways, kind of reconvening in this spy operation to stop Hitler and the Prime Minister of England, Neville something. I don't remember his first name. I want to say Gary, but Gary Neville is a Manchester United player. And basically stop them from signing the treaty, which would allow Germany to take over another country. And spoiler alert, because it's history, they failed, and Hitler took over that country and then continued to say that he was going to grab just one more. And then a world war broke out, the second one. So I thought it was actually really interesting because it was a story about people that failed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was an interesting story because ultimately it's an unsatisfying conclusion because the events transpired, in a way that is not a happy ending, basically. And I thought that was a really unique thing, but at the same time, it's a real story with real people, and these people tried to stop Hitler, which I think is a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
So they deserve to have their story told, even if they didn't succeed. So I thought it was pretty cool. It was well made. My AirPods aren't loud enough to get rid of the airplane noise, so I had to watch with subtitles on, which was difficult. It was just difficult to hear. I couldn't hear a single note of music in any of those three movies.
Oh, no.
So that kind of pulled a little bit of the enjoyment away.
Man,
but I've just kind of been obsessed with. Yeah, I know. I have Beats that are really old. They just don't work with Bluetooth anymore. And my fancy new green iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack anymore, so can't use that anyway. Yeah, I've just been kind of obsessed with war movies recently, and I think I've been having fun with that. Imitation Game, Dunkirk. What was that movie I watched with Saving Private Ryan? That was good. Yeah, so I've just been having fun with that stuff.
There you go. I started reading comic books yesterday for the first time in my entire life. I've never really read a comic book before. I was talking to my friend Alex yesterday, and he was telling me about how he reads Marvel comic books every night when he goes to bed. And apparently, you can. There's an app called Marvel Unlimited. You have a subscription, and you can just read. They're all there. All the comic books are there. Marvel comic books. So that's something that has kept me from. I didn't know this existed for whatever reason. I guess it makes sense that it would exist.
It makes sense that it would.
But something that kept me from reading comic books is what am I gonna do? Like go to the store and like buy one issue of like a 40-issue story arc, and then like keep going back and buying it again. Like I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
But there's an app that you can just have them and read them whenever. So I got the app, and
bada bing.
It's really hard to know where to start because it's like you're jumping
so
in
much.
And hundreds of thousands of millions of comic books. Where do you even start? So I listened to a podcast that I listened to. They talked about like, here's some starter comics for Marvel. One of them was a Spider-Man comic, a 6-issue story called Spider-Man Life Story. And what it is it's basically a condensed 6-issue version of like everything that's happened to Spider-Man in the last 40, 50 years in comics. So you don't have to read all, 700 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man to get all this stuff. So it takes you through like decades of his life, like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s.
Look at you counting.
Look at that. I really, really enjoyed it. Like being able to just like, it kind of, you skip all of the filler and it's just like, here's Peter and Harry and here's Norman and like, oh, Norman's the Goblin now. And like that sort of thing. Cause there really is.
I built this company.
There's stuff that I knew about that happened in the comics. Like, I knew that there is an issue or like a series of comics where Dr. Octopus like clones Peter Parker and like puts his consciousness in Peter Parker, and Dr. Octopus becomes Spider-Man for a while in his body and that sort of thing. I knew that was a thing, but I hadn't ever planned on like reading that entire thing. So stuff like that where you can like read a condensed version of that. And then there are big events like Secret Wars and Civil War where Spider-Man is involved. So it's kind of hard. If you don't read that whole thing, it's kind of hard to know like what happens to him during those times.
Mm-hmm.
But in Spider-Man Life Story, you get a very condensed like version of just from his perspective, like where he fits into those things, and basically from the beginning of his powers to when he eventually dies and hands over the mantle to Miles Morales at the end. I really
Anything
liked it.
on Future Foundation?
Not Future Foundation specifically. He does hang out with Reed Richards a lot, though.
Okay.
So
Future Foundation Spider-Man is a variation of Spider-Man where he
yes.
takes over the spot left by the Human Torch, I
yes.
believe, and joins the Fantastic Four. And Future Foundation is the new name of the Fantastic Four, and they wear black and white, and the Future Foundation Spider-Man suit looks
awesome.
Perfect.
It looks amazing.
It's the best Spider-Man suit.
Yeah. It is great. So I'm going to be reading some comic books probably. Because I've always wanted to get into it, but I didn't know this app existed, and now a whole world is open to me.
Wow.
And you can just read it. You can just read it in like a few minutes, and it's like, wow, that was good.
You might have to hit me with the username and password.
Yeah, feel free.
That's awesome. I started reading Dune.
Oh, that's right. Dune.
I purchased the book Dune. So don't spoil it for me anymore. I'm being completely honest. I don't really know anything about it.
Yep.
But I've read like 50, 60 pages or something.
Nice.
And there's so many things.
The Bene Gesserit.
Yes.
The needle thing. I don't remember what
Gom
it's
Yapar,
called. The Gom
whatever
Jabbar, whatever
called.
it is. Yeah.
The
Duncan,
Harkonnens
Idaho.
Yeah, what the heck? That guy's name is Duncan, Idaho. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Jason Momoa.
Is that Jason Momoa?
Yeah, in the movie.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He
there's
would
the
be Duncan,
Atreides
Idaho.
and the Harkonnens and the Paul and Jessica and the Reverend Mother. But
Johnny.
I don't know who
I
Johnny is.
heard about her yet. Okay.
Leto. A kid named Fade, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's pronounced any differently than that, but who is Timothy Chalamet Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to who's Zendaya?
Yeah. Who's
I don't really care.
Oscar
I'll watch
Isaac
the
is in
movie.
it. Yeah,
That's
watch
cool.
it. The movie
I'll
only
have to watch
covers,
it.
I believe, like half of the first
Half of
book,
the
so you
book.
can probably watch
so
it.
I'll get ahead of you.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited. I also started reading a manga on paper, which is the first time I've done that. So I have some physical books. It's called Kaiju number 8, and it's about a world where Japan is constantly terrorized by kaiju, which are like Godzilla-esque monsters, but they look really gross in this comic book. Or this manga, I should say. And it's about this. There's this defense force, and they fight the kaiju. And this guy wants to be a part of the defense force.
Nice.
It's a very classic shonen manga, which shonen means young boy. Because it's for young boys. But I am an adult boy, so I'm going to read it anyway. Corey recommended it to me when we were at Barnes & Noble. So I read it, and I like it. So
very good.
That's where I'm at on that. We've been going long enough?
Yep, we sure have.
Yeah.
Let's cap it.
Heck yeah.
Episode 23 in the books. Wow.
Episode 23 in
What are we doing
books.
next week? Who's to say?
Next week?
Andor.
We're going to be talking about Andor. I think I would like to have 2 episodes this week.
Yeah.
So if this is out on Tuesday, then we'll probably have another episode like Friday?
Thursday, Friday, or Saturday?
Thursday, Friday? Who can say?
Who can say?
Well, we'll talk about that one. Might be shorter if we're gonna
Yeah.
do 2 episodes, but we'll talk about Andor
Mhm.
and the first 3 episodes
Mhm.
of that show, and anything else that comes up on that episode.
I bet we
I
can
have
fill
it
a lot of time.
here. Yeah, we have something else on that day, but I would need to watch it first.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
We'll probably hold that off for a while.
Yeah.
In the even further future,
Ah.
we have October,
Mm.
which will be we don't have a specific name. I was just calling it Spooktober.
Spooktober.
But I'm sure that that's copywritten somewhere or
Probably,
something. So we'll
probably.
we'll think of our own Quarter Twins related name.
Spooky Twins.
Every week is gonna be about a horror genre thing. We're gonna start with Stranger Things. So I gotta watch a lot of Stranger Things in the next couple weeks. Season 2 at least. I need to rewatch because apparently it's so great.
It's the least good season, but it's still really good in my
It's the
opinion.
least good.
But it's still good.
So yeah, we'll see about that. And then Quiet Place 1 and 2. I gotta watch Quiet Place number 2.
Yes, fantastic.
Get Out and The Shining will
I gotta
cap
watch
off our
those again.
October horror-esque movie list. It's all very exciting. We're hype. I hope you guys are hyped. We apologize sincerely for the lack of consistency as of late.
Yes.
Life has taken us by storm,
In many
and
directions.
it really is annoying me. So I'm hopeful that we can have some normal weeks and get
Yes.
back to our normally scheduled programming.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, we want to do this forever, right?
That is right.
As long as I'm having fun and Jordan's having fun, we're going to be here every week
right.
we can be. If you want us to be here every week without even worrying about it, then and multiple times a week, if that's what you want, then tell your friends about the Quarter Twins podcast.
Yes.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
If things go according to plan, check us out on TikTok.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
might be
There's a
creating
TikTok there.
content over there finally.
We might be.
Subscribe on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about making a Twitter and just tweeting movie -X out of 10. And just every single movie I've ever seen and giving it a 1 out of 10 rating.
That would be fun.
Just literally tweeting up a storm.
Yeah.
100 movies a day. So we just want to get out in the net sphere and be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that will help encourage growth on the podcast, and then it will lead to monetary growth, which will lead to us moving to the same place, which will lead to us getting a studio, which will lead to creating the best podcast in America.
Wow.
So that's like the future plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable, but like if you wanted to help speed that up,
Yeah.
then you could
Yes.
spread the word. So
Please.
tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your kids, tell your brothers and sisters and cousins.
Yep.
Get everybody and your mom watching the podcast.
Yeah.
That's it for us.
Woo.
Quarter Twins 23.
Yes.
We're hype. You're hype. It's all hype. We'll see you guys later this week? Next week? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be fun for you if there's another episode
Yes.
in a couple days. So. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you guys.
Nailed
it.
Should bring this every episode.